You want to be a young boss, but your sales are stuck. You're burned out trying to find the right people, and you end up doing all of the work yourself. You're bleeding money, and you're fighting to keep your business afloat. I've been there. I'm Isabel Guarino, and I've scaled businesses to millions, and I've watched ideas burn to the ground. And I know exactly what it takes to survive and win. This is Young Boss, the podcast that helps you break through the barriers standing between you and the business you deserve, where youth is your power. How would you react if you were written $1 million check at a bar at 2 a.m. after being denied investments across 12 meetings in one day? This founder and serial entrepreneur has made millions out of moments like these. And now he helps other entrepreneurs bring their businesses to life in the chaotic and competitive world of food and beverage and consumer packaged goods. Meet Joshua Sizemore. After scaling legacy beverage brands and launching a water company overnight, he's now building FeastFast, a doctor-founded snack brand that actually doesn't spike your blood sugar. This episode is packed with hard-earned wisdom on go-to marketing strategies, brand storytelling, affiliate versus influencer marketing, and what it really takes to raise capital when the odds are stacked against you. If you've ever thought about launching a product, this is the raw, real talk that you didn't know you needed. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to hear all about FeastFast snacks and what you have going on with that new business that you're launching.
Yeah, so we launched, I don't know, officially like 7, 8 weeks ago. It's been a rough launch, honestly. But
Yeah.
to digress, this company was founded by two doctors that were college roommates, so they'd known each other for a long time. They were overweight, and they decided to go on this weight loss journey and utilize keto and fasting. So they started it, and they wanted to, snack as any person does. So they started like buying these keto friendly snacks in the aisle in the grocery stores, and being doctors, they would blood test themselves like right after they would eat them. So
Okay.
their blood sugar and glucose would spike on every keto friendly snack that they would eat. So they're like, this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're like, let's just make our own.
Yeah.
So they, got with their other buddy, who's kind of a food wizard guy, Marius, and he created these snacks. And they figured out that these snacks they were eating now didn't spike blood glucose or sugar. And so they lost 100 pounds each, plus 100 plus pounds each. And then they actually brought in their own clients to go through this program and also utilize these snacks that they were making. And they did this for a couple of years. And about 10 months ago, they found me, and they wanted to put their snacks in the market to the masses. And it really aligned with a couple things for me. One, health and wellness, so being keto, being able to fast while you eat these snacks, low calorie, um, didn't spike blood sugar, was amazing. And there's definitely a big market for that. But the other opportunity, and we feel the bigger market, is this actually could be diabetics and pre-diabetics like safe snack, right, to eat, right? So because there's 50 million diabetics, 100 million pre-diabetics. So if you're always, every time you eat a snack or something that you're unsure about, you have to test your blood insulin, right? Your glucose.
Yeah.
That sucks. But if you had a snack that was safe, you trusted, delicious, didn't spike your insulin, that you
Yeah.
could go to all the time, and that's what we want to be. We want to be that diabetic, safe, delicious snack for people with diabetes and pre-diabetics. So, um,
Amazing.
yeah, and then
Did
we launched like 8 weeks ago. Like I said, it's been a rough one. I mean, we have all the things going, all the marketing angles going. As this is not my first rodeo, but we had a breach in our Meta ads account like week 2, and somebody set the daily spend to like 100K a day, and then so we had to kind of pause that, and
Oh,
then yeah, that was a shit show. And then it became, we had to duplicate that account. That was a shit show. And so we had to literally about a week and a half ago start completely over again with our ads.
Yep.
And so it's just, it is what it is. You go through it, right?
Okay, 100 grand that they had increased that to. Meta ads are crazy. They will drive us all crazy. But
Yeah.
why did I first want to go back. Why did these two guys come to you? What's your expertise in business and how have you helped other businesses launch and scale?
Yeah. So, my expertise is, I'm an entrepreneur. It's food and beverage, consumer goods. Initially, when I was 20, I was assistant manager at Abercrombie& and Fitch and worked my way up in retail and became, I ran Lacoste, then moved to Shinola. I'm not sure if you know what Shinola is, but it was, at this time it was, doing 20 million and I helped it go to 300 million, but it was a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of politics, and I was just kind of burnt out with retail. And so, my buddy who had bought original New York Seltzer back from bankruptcy. He gave me a call, kind of out of the blue. He's like, "Hey," and I was over retail, and he said, "Hey, you want to come back to LA and like run this company?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And so I moved back to LA and just jumped in head first in beverage. I didn't really know a lot, but hired some great mentors to kind of help me navigate. We, bought a 140,000 square foot facility, bottling facility in LA, and then we just was off and running. And that's where I got my feet wet. Fortunately, that brand was such an admired brand when it went into bankruptcy, especially in California. The retailers and the distributors, they loved it. So it was easy to get back into distribution and retail channels. So we got in 20, 30, 40,000 doors in probably 10 months, which is unheard of
That's
by
awesome.
far. And so, I stayed on the board with original New York Seltzer until July of 22 until we sold it. So I kind of, created the transaction, which was great. But it wasn't shortly after I started building New York Seltzer back that I had an opportunity to move back to Kentucky, where I'm from, to start my own water company,
Wow.
Unify Water, and so I did. It was the craziest story ever. I don't want to bore you, but it was pretty interesting. I was actually up for the president of a small university because my uncle, who was the longest running judge in Kentucky ever,
Okay.
nominated me, and he called me. He's like, "Hey, I nominated you. The board wants to meet with you." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm not going to get this job. This is crazy." But my roots being in Kentucky, family being in Kentucky, I came back out, flew out. I was in LA and flew out at the time and met with the board. Obviously, didn't wasn't even close to getting the gig, but one of the board members wanted to meet with me afterwards and go over his businesses. And so we sit down and we talk, and he tells me that him and a few partners own this aquifer source in Tennessee, with a bottling facility at the source, and they don't use it. So I was like super intrigued because I'm a health nut
Yeah.
and pretty much all I drink's water, and I thought he was full of shit, honestly. And so I said, can I look at the documents? So we meet again the next day. I look over the documents. Everything's legit. The water clarity, the water purity, it's amazing. And so my mind starts like spinning like crazy, and I'm like, let me please meet. Let's meet tomorrow, and I want to present you with something. So that night, I, went back to my hotel and I literally created everything, the business plan, the deck, how I wanted the brand to go to market, what I wanted the bottles to look like, how we were going to like create influence, like, everything. And
Yeah.
I don't think I slept. And then I met with him the next day and presented it to him. And I was like, this is how much we need to get this started. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So, uh,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. Um, so in 7 days, I moved from LA to back to Kentucky, and then jumped in head first.
Oh my goodness.
And for some reason, I would move to Lexington, Kentucky, which is kind of stupid, really, because our plant was about 2.5 hours one way to
Oh,
Tennessee, and but I drove it every day for 4 years, every day, back and forth, bottling the water on the line. It was the most fun I ever had. If I wasn't in retail meetings or investor meetings, I was there like bottling the water. It was awesome.
that's amazing. So, is this the business that you had a big? I know you've had a couple of exits, but this one you had a really large exit from.
So this one was a pretty big exit, but unfortunately, very unfortunately, we was doing probably a couple hundred million in revenue. We could have been a 1 billion-dollar company easy, but I went through a horrific divorce and decided to sell very prematurely. So the exit was fine, but she got most of it. And it is what it is. Like, whatever. It was a great learning experience. It was fun. But yeah, it was a decent exit, and from that I learned so much though. Being in that up and down roller coaster every second of the day, as you are when you're an entrepreneur trying to build a business, it's wild.
Yeah. Well, all of these skills that you've acquired over the years, now bringing them to this new company and this new brand, obviously it makes so much sense why they wanted to bring you in and have you as, part of the team and really launching this. So, what are your guys' goals? Are there specific stores you're trying to get into? Have you gotten into any stores yet? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's that go-to-market strategy when you first kind of are building the brand and figuring out, okay, how are we going to market? Like, what customers are we wanting to attract? So you always have to think about manpower. You have to think about margin. You have to think about, you know, shippability. Like, is your product lightweight? Does it not cost a lot to ship? If so, if it has good margin, if you can create a story in 10, 15 seconds virtually or online to promote it, like those are all the things because retail is such a cash intensive, you know, opportunity. It's great,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, and this is what I, you know, tell, new entrepreneurs or even seasoned entrepreneurs that are building food and beverage brands, like if you don't have somebody, if people don't know about your brand and it's new and you're trying to go to retail and you're going to, 50 Whole Foods, well, you got to think you need somebody at those Whole Foods every other day presenting your product, taste testing, talking to customers, and that's a lot of manpower and that's a
Yeah.
lot of cash. That's like a lot of cash. So if you can avoid that for the first 12, 15, 18 months and build your business online, that's going to give you a ton of more cash flow. It's going to give you a better opportunity to become cash flow positive and build your margins and potentially be net profitable, depending. And then you go into retail, right? You almost don't want to go into retail until the customers like make you go into retail,
Okay, that's
you
a
know?
great strategy for everyone listening who's thinking they want to bring, something into the F&B market and saying, everyone's dream is they're in Whole Foods, right? They're
Yeah,
in the grocery
yeah,
store, but
for
to
sure.
think, hey, it's actually better to have the online, validity first and people buying your product, loving your brand to
Yeah,
prove concept to then
yeah.
say, okay, great, now we're worthy of coming into the store. And I bet you it's probably an easier sell when you have those numbers to back it.
100%. I mean, I think landscape's changing always to more obviously natural, non-GMO, gluten-free, organic, all the buzzwords, right? Like, and if you can be even advantageous or innovative beyond kind of the norm and, like I think tallow is going to be the next thing that people are using, and besides olive oil, besides avocado oil, it's going to be tallow, right? Because it's
Yeah.
supposed to be healthier for you. So
Yep.
that's going to be the next kind of wave of innovation with chips and whatever. So there's always going to be that stigma that will get you in. If you check those boxes and your food product or beverage product it tastes really good, it's going to get you into retail, right? But that's not going to get you to sell through, right? And then you also have to think, well, the marketing. Well, not only do you need manpower, that's 2 or 3 hours a day the other rest of the day, your product's got to sell itself. So how is it going to do
Yep.
that? Well, you have to have a compelling packaging, for a person that doesn't know it, that when they see it, they're gonna spend 5, 10 seconds to look at it, read it, be interested in it. And what's the
Yep.
chances? That's one out of 70, 80 people that are going to do that. And that's if
Yeah.
you have a great packaging, right? So
It's got to catch the
ultimately,
eye.
yeah. So ultimately, if you're not, if you don't have 100 million in cash to go do this thing, retail, nationwide, regional play, then stick to online. Build your business online. Build your brand online. Um, Build your customer base. Build your following. Have a loyal following in the first 12, 15, 18 months, and then slowly go into retail.
Yeah.
And it's hard because to your point, once you're in Whole Foods, we got 10 Whole Foods. Oh, we got 50 Whole Foods. Oh, we got a chance to go into, 500. Well, that's a great opportunity, but does the people in those 500 Whole Foods, do they know about your brand? And if they don't, how are they going to know about it? How is your product going to sell? So it's just, it's a, it's a catch 22 in a lot of things, with food and beverage and retail and versus online. But ultimately, you have to kind of have a stick to itiveness um, to go in and be super assertive and not waver, because you're going to have distributors after distributors say we can get you national, we can do national, we can do national, and they're just wanting you for the time being, unless you have a ton of money to back that marketing up to get the sell through. And because distributors are glorified delivery people, they're not going to,
Okay.
they're not going to sell your product. They're not going to market it. They're not going to merchandise it appropriately. So you have to think about all these things in retail. And retail is still probably the biggest play for food and beverage, but it's also the most costly, and you can definitely avoid that by sticking to direct to consumer for the 12, 15, 20 months.
As a young boss, you're probably buying stuff for your business all the time. I know I am, and I love a good Amazon purchase. So we created the Young Boss Amazon list for you to buy things for your office, for your team, books for you to check out, even clothes or jewelry that I'm wearing on the show. So go check out the Amazon list and add something to your cart today. Now, back to the show.
So the power of social media is obviously super important then in this space. And I think that especially in the health and fitness space, we're seeing a lot of influencer marketing, right? Where you
Yeah.
get some sort of, health and fitness influencer who's coming on saying, this is what did it, or even a more local or organic influencer who's just sharing like on TikTok, my weight loss journey and here's what I used, like the story you shared in the beginning with the founders, the two doctors, kind of sharing that story from a more personal perspective instead of being that influencer. Have you guys, made a game plan to go one of those directions or add anything like that in?
Yeah, for sure. So we're doing the influencer marketing stuff. We're doing the affiliate marketing stuff. So those are kind of two different things. And I've found that, up to this point, the affiliate marketing may be even more powerful than the influencer marketing, because the influencer marketing, you're looking at a budget of, 100 to $200 to pay these, micro or small influencers, and it's probably a 5% chance that their UGC is going to create, a 10x of what you've actually spent. So, and then in regards to the affiliates, that's just free product. So you
Yep.
basically have the same chance, 5 or 10% chance that you're going to get a big bang for your buck as you do with the influencers.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a strategy we're using and utilizing, and we're going through all those things. But to your point, our founder, his name's Doc Orange. He is in many of our videos that we're promoting and sponsoring through Meta, and those are the ones that's doing the best. Um,
Wow.
so to your point of being authentic and having that personal story behind it,
Yeah.
even if you're not telling that story, but that person has lived it and they're talking about something else related to the brand, you can tell,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Very cool. I love that. So to get started in an industry like this, you've said it's very capital intensive. And well, depending on what way you go, but regardless, it can be capital
Oh
intensive.
yeah.
What does that look like? And what is, your first step when you're saying, hey, we need to start raising money for this? Are you going to banks? Are you going to funds? Where do you go to find capital?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not initially capitalized, like we are, then it's really you even have to be have more of like a smaller mindset. You really
Mm,
can't afford to do the influencer stuff. You really can't afford to do the Google ads. You may be able to afford to do some meta stuff, but not at the level that you may need to.
mm-hmm.
But that's fine. Um, so your focus should be totally on your margin and totally on creating a profit.
Mm,
If you don't have capital, and then because what any investor, big or small, they like to see is one, revenue, but more importantly, they like to see profitability.
mm,
That's changed over the last 10 years, and especially in consumer goods. It used to be all revenue driven, but now it's more profitability driven. Um, and direct to consumer, you can get there. You just have to be super tight with and it'll take a longer amount of time.
mm.
Um, but you can do the same things. Like with us, we wanted to get out of the gate quickly. And so I still think we will in the next couple months
Yeah.
have a big next 2 or 3 months and get to where we assumed we'd be out of the gate. So, but if you don't have the capital and you're trying to raise money or you're looking to raise money down the road, just remember, try to get as profitable as fast as possible, but it's going to take a little more time than it would if you had capital to spend on all these partnerships and advertisements and affiliates and influencers and Google ads and spending 200-300 bucks a day on meta ads until you get to a
Mm,
point. Like, you just have to kind of dumb everything down to
yeah.
like a single strategy. Okay, we're going to spend X amount on meta. This we're going until we become profitable. And then you have to be innovative, right? You reach out to get on Instagram or Facebook or whatever and find the people in that you think would be great representatives of your brand and DM them, ask for help.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like that's what I learned when I started Unified. I asked everybody for help. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
I've heard a story that you've told where, you went to 110 VCs and finally got the check you were looking for.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to hear about that because that is some tenacity.
Like it was more. I think it was about 123 or 24, honestly.
Wow.
And it didn't come from a VC. It was
Oh,
crazy. So I was on a had been trying to raise money. I mean, went to so many throughout the year, so many meetings, and I was in New York. I think I had 12 or 13 meetings that day, and didn't get a check. All no's. And that night, um, I went to a bar with my buddy, and he brought his friend along, um, and she had an interest in startups, had an interest in like entrepreneurs, and we started talking. She was blown away with what we were doing and the brand, and she wrote me a check for $1 million in the bar at like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m.
wow. 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 How did that feel after getting so many no's when you're doing it, quote unquote, the right way? Bringing them the deck and coming
Yeah,
prepared and you're dressed all nice and it happens at 2 a.m. in a bar.
it's uh, it's wild. Like it's great for 5 seconds, but when you if that entrepreneurial that mindset you have is okay, something great just happened. Okay, fuck, I know something not great's about to happen. you know?
The
So
other shoe's going to drop.
yeah, 100%. So I went from like being super excited, waking up the next morning and like, oh fuck, well, we just got to go. You can't really like celebrate it or bask in it. You just got to say, great, okay, this is what it's for. Let's put it to work, and then
Yep.
just continue moving forward. But it was wild
Yep.
how how it happened. Yeah, I mean
That is
that.
a crazy story.
Yeah, that was one crazy story. The thing that really blew Unify up was Halle Berry had these fitness talks on her social, and somehow she got our water, and it just fucking blew up. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So a nonchalant influencer
yeah,
situation, which
yeah,
is so funny to me that people watch TV shows and social media to see what's in the background. What's that piece of art they have? What's that
yeah,
water bottle they have? And that's
yeah,
how they're buying things these days.
yeah,
I don't look at shows that way. I'm not looking for what they're drinking, what they're like.
yeah.
I'm just watching the show to watch it. But that is a whole culture now where people will find the outfits, find the water, find the food, and it becomes this whole thing within the show, you know?
100%. Yeah, we just got so for feast. So that's interesting. So we, um, to go back to Unify with Hallie, she it was I think it was called Fit Talks, and Thomas Lee was her buddy, her trainer, and they did it together. And I think he brought our water on, and then they started drinking it every episode. And I'm like, this is, and I didn't know about it for like 6 months, and I'm like, this is crazy.
That's
And so
amazing.
that was cool. But for Feast Fast, we just got what's the guy's not Kimmel, but what's the other guy's name? uh,
A late
younger
night
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jimmy Fallon?
Fallon. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna be in their green room
Oh, cool.
exclusively. So we'll be the only kind of snack in there for the next 5 months. So that'd be cool.
That's really cool. I love that. You know, it's funny that we're chatting today because just this last week I bought this little thing. It's called Stello, and it's
Okay.
not for, people with diabetes, but it's tracking your blood sugar. And it
Okay.
links to an app, it links to your Aura Ring or your Apple Watch,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's watching your workouts and everything you're eating and how it's going. And I am addicted to it. This week, everything I eat, I'm like, oh, what's happening? Is it
Yeah,
going
yeah,
up?
yeah.
Is it going down? And then I'll try the same meal with one different ingredient to see,
Yeah.
is that setting me off? And it is the funnest thing ever. So there's, I think there's such a culture that we're in right now where people just want information, right? They
Yeah.
want their Apple Watch, they want their Aura Ring, they want their Stello, they want to
Yeah.
hear what's going on inside their body without having to go get blood work at the doctor's office, every single month or
For
week.
sure.
So because that's such a trend, partnering with companies like that,
Yeah.
those fitness brands, I think is going to be huge for you guys
Yeah.
because everyone just wants to know what's going on and they want to test things for themselves. I know
Yeah.
I'm not alone in that for sure. So
100%. Yeah. I mean, I just had a call with our board before this call, and they're like, I thought we was doing, fitness or blood testing videos where people are going to be testing their blood sugar live,
yeah,
versus our cookies versus others. I'm like, yeah, they're coming. It just takes,
yeah,
there's not a lot of
takes a minute.
influencers. Yeah, not a lot of influencers in that diabetic space,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So there's a few good ones, and so we have our cookies out to them. But did you try our cookies?
No, I need to try them.
Oh,
And
yeah,
especially this week while I have
yeah,
this
yeah.
on.
I'll send you some. Like when we get off, I'll send you some. Yeah, I just need your
Okay,
address.
cool. I love it. We will take a video and send it. I think that's so fun. You know, I think I want to circle back to something, when you said, hey, I got that check, but the next day it's back to work. I think that with entrepreneurship, there can be so many highs and lows, but how do you, stay, even throughout all of this? And has that been a struggle for you, or does it come natural to you after the years of being in this space?
Honestly, I think it comes natural to me just because, and I don't want to get too deep, but I'm from a town of 900 people in Appalachia, Kentucky.
Mm,
Mom and dad got divorced when I was young. But I think always kind of being let down when I was a
mm,
kid
mm,
prepared me to be like even killed through my
mm.
entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the one thing that when people like give up or quit, or after a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, they're like, fuck, this is just, it's not working, it's not happening. And I can see why you would do that 100%. But the ones that keep going no matter what, the ones that keep going, they're the ones that make it you
Yeah.
know
Do
and
you have kids?
I don't know, and I'll tell you a story maybe at the end if you can, remind me. We just, me and my wife were creating a platform that's pretty crazy, but I'll tell you about it later on, hopefully. Um, but we don't have kids. We had three dogs. Two of them passed in the last couple of years. We got one left. He's a black lab. He's about 14.
Cute.
He's yeah.
I'm asking if you have kids, but only because I think that the way that we're currently raising kids in our culture and society is very opposite of what you grew up with, where,
Yeah.
you're saying, hey, I had constant letdowns. And I think our society now is like, don't let them fail. Don't let them,
Yeah.
have any sadness in their life and everything's going to be okay and fluffy rainbows and this and that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're preparing them well at all for the
Sure.
future, when the reality is, some days people are just going to be mean to you for no reason. Like, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you. That's life. Some days you're not going to get what you want. A lot of days you're not going to get what you want,
100%.
And to push through that, and we're not talking days or hours, we're talking years to
Yeah.
get those no's, to get those, you're not the right person, you're not worthy, you can't do this, and just to keep going. I don't know that we're raising kids in the right way to be able to push past that.
I would 100% agree. 1,000,000% agree. I mean, and even when I was a kid, I was in the mountains playing, every day, either playing basketball, or I'm in the mountains with my brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can go to my same, neighborhood or where I used to live in the same holler. I don't know if you know what a holler is, but in that same small town. And if that person has kids, they're not letting them in the mountains. You know, it's different.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. Like, everything has
Yeah.
changed. So
Yeah.
to your point, I 100% agree. And it's a trophy for ninth place nowadays, where in my day it was, you barely got a trophy if you won the championship.
Very different. For everyone listening who's maybe a young boss, a young entrepreneur, they're just getting started in this journey, what advice do you have for them?
Um, if you're passionate about something and have an idea about something, just go all in. Don't think about it. Just go all in. And if it's a product, if it's a service business, you have friends and family, get their feedback. And if it's good feedback, don't look back. Just do it. Just figure out a way and do it and keep going. Um, and it will be super tough most of the time, but if you can just keep going, you'll get there. And surround yourself with people that try to surround yourself with people that's been there and done that before, and
Yeah.
that's better than you, smarter than you. If you can do that, then you have a leg up on everybody else. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Well, you have dropped a lot of amazing gems. If we want to continue to follow or buy some FeastFast products, where do we find you guys?
FeastFast.co, or our Instagram, FeastFast Snacks. I think TikTok, FeastFast Snacks. And then I'm on LinkedIn, just my name, Joshua Sizemore. Same thing as Instagram or Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today. Thanks for giving us all of your expertise, and I really appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, youth is your power.